everybody, this is One Gorgeous Godzilla, and I'm here to give you my weeks 7 and 8 update. It seems counterintuitive that I would have less time to record videos now that I've been furloughed for 2 weeks now, but actually it's been harder for me to do so because I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to catch you up as best as I can in the shortest amount of time possible. Also, I'm going to try my very best to put pictures inside the video. And if you know me, you know that I am not the most tech savvy individual. So I hope that this actually works. Okay. So without further ado, let's get to the numbers, shall we? Before we get to the numbers though, I have to say that since I didn't have to be at home to go to work, I sort of ran away and just left town for a couple of days. And the person that I ended up staying with does not have a scale in their house. How foreign a concept is that? We won't even go there. But I wasn't able to get an accurate gauge of my weight for week 7 because I wasn't home. I didn't have the scale, and you know, you go to a different house, different scale, and it's never the same as your scale at the house anyway. So for the sake of uniformity, it's probably for the best that I wasn't able to weigh in for week 7, the more that I think about it in retrospect. So I started this journey at the highest weight of 259 pounds. On the date of my surgery, which was August 19, 2013, I weighed 248 pounds. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, on my 6-week update, I weighed 228 pounds. Today, I registered a loss of 3.7 pounds, which brought me to 224.3 pounds. So that is almost 35 pounds from my all-time highest weight. And like 23.7, 23.8, but I'm going to just say 24 pounds from my surgical weight. So I am happy for that. I'm going to take it because it is not a stall, and it is a movement in the right direction. So yay for that. Okay. So what have you been doing, One Gorgeous Godzilla? I'm sure I hear you all asking out there in the Webbyverse. So I will tell you some of the stuff I've been doing. I've mentioned it maybe once or twice. I don't know how often I mention it. But I had my surgery done by the St. Francis Center for Surgical Weight Loss in Memphis, Tennessee, with Dr. Robert Wagner. He works there in addition to another amazing surgeon named Dr. Virginia Weaver. And 2 weeks ago, they celebrated their 10-year anniversary, which I don't know how long these surgeries have been around. I wouldn't even, begin to guess all of that. But it was the 10-year anniversary, and they were having like a dinner and a fashion show for all of their current and former patients. So me being me, I had to go. I probably was the newest patient there, to be perfectly honest. But I was like, it's 10 years. When will I ever be anywhere to see what everybody looks like, years and years and years down the road? Because I did as much research as I possibly could before having this surgery. But I think the longest, out from surgery that I've ever run across is like 3 or 4 years at the most. I don't know, is that when they started doing sleeves or what? But I was curious to sort of see, because I've always had a theory that it seems like people that have had the gastric sleeve surgery, as opposed to RNY, the gastric bypass, where they sort of turn your stomach from the size of a stomach to an egg, and then they do something with the intestines. To me, they've always looked kind of sickly, just crackish, for lack of a better word. I can't think of another word but crackish. I'm sorry. But yeah, for the most part, they just don't look well. And I've always had a theory that it had something to do with the fact that they can only absorb. I thought I had absorption issues with, you know, our stomachs being the size of bananas or whatever. But imagine if your stomach was the size of an egg. So that's why I've always sort of attributed that little sickly look that the people have, like something just ain't right, you know. So I wanted to see, did that always last? Do people gain their weight back? Do they continue to look like, you know, just not right, you know, years and years later? And it was in the St. Francis Hospital cafeteria. I know. But they made the cafeteria look very nice. It was a catered event. The first time ever that I've been to anything where the food portions were perfect, like bariatric portions. It was like seared ahi tuna, and it was just enough for 1 or 2 bites. Even the desserts were like panna cotta in mini shot glasses. It was delicious. It was frou-frou. It was divine, and it was all so perfect and nutritionally sound for someone who's had surgery. So I was very impressed when I got there, just from the way they managed to transform the cafeteria at the hospital. And there was staging for the fashion show, and it was just all so, it was lovely. It really was, for lack of a better word, it was lovely. Essentially, they made the cafeteria at the hospital look as good as they possibly could. I'm going to give them kudos for that. And I decided to wear a dress that I got for $5 at the thrift store. A side note, best place to buy clothes while you're losing weight. Save yourself some money, because I don't know, some people go through sizes like that. Hadn't been my issue per se, but good place to score clothes for the low. So it was at 11 o'clock on a Saturday. So some of the crazy fashion show clothes I would have worn had it been at night, that, you know, I didn't wear because it was in a hospital, and it was at 11 o'clock in the daytime. So I like channeled June Cleaver, Desperate Housewife realness, and wore this, I don't know, dress that makes me feel very much like a lady, like Charlotte York from Sex and the City. Don't ask me why, but that's what I wore to this fashion show. And I met a very nice lady as I fell in the middle of the hallway, who picked me up and prayed over me. You gotta love people in the South. That's how bad I felt. She felt the need to call upon the Lord Jesus Christ himself to help me up in my time of need. And not only that, a gentleman that was way down the hall had to come and assist me up off the floor, because I was literally sprawled in the hallway. But lovely woman, and apparently she had the bypass 8 years ago. So already I was like, score, this is the best thing ever, because I'm meeting people who've had bariatric surgery for 8 years. I can't wait to compare her and what she looks like to sleeve people, and, you know, try to find the oldest sleeve individual I could find. And that's what I've essentially set out to do. It was amazing. I felt so inspired at this gathering, because everybody looked so freaking good. I could not believe it. I was like, it was hard for me to tell who had surgery, who was just naturally thin. It was the most amazing thing. And the fashion show started, and they would pop up. It took me a minute to realize that they would have this big screen picture, projection screen, that's the word, of what these people looked like before. Because at our doctor's office, you take a picture when you first come in, 6 weeks post-op, and I think they may take a picture every time, I'm not sure, but of what they looked like before. And then they would come out from behind the curtain in their, you know, their ensembles and everything, and it was astonishing. I can honestly say that they had someone who was their 14th patient ever in the history of their program. So she was at, at the ground floor 10 years ago. And that lady looked so daggone good. I could not believe it. So I do believe that while the gastric bypass people look somewhat crackish in the very beginning, or really gaunt and not sickly, they seem to adapt to that and look really good, as good as sleeve people do. But it just seems like we look way better. I don't know if it's because the weight loss is slower or what it is, or we absorb more nutrients because we have more stomach to absorb it. But I still think we look great, like the best. But I will give it to those bypass people. They looked pretty doggone good too. And it was just like the most inspiring thing. I love my surgeon, Dr. Robert Wagner in Memphis, Tennessee. He's not one of those hand-holdy doctors, the other doctors like that. But that man is really great at what he does, I will say. Dang, he's a good doctor. I have nothing else to say. They don't pay me to talk about them, so I'm done talking about them. Bam. Now, what else did you do the next weekend, One Gorgeous Godzilla? I went home to my college homecoming in Virginia. So I flew there, and I have been so hesitant to go back because it's been 15 years since I saw most of these people. I weigh about 100 pounds. Isn't that weird? That's how much I want to lose. 100 pounds more than I did when I last saw them. And I knew most of my friends had not fallen off to the extent that I had. They all looked like just better versions of their college self for the most part. So I had to get right in my mind that I cannot, continue to have all of these fears and hang-ups about my weight, just prevent me from having the kind of life I want to lead, like a life of seclusion. I just couldn't let this happen anymore, because I know that it started happening as I started gaining weight. I started to become more and more withdrawn. I'm not naturally a withdrawn type of person, but it is amazing how these mental things will truly impact your life. So I was like, I gotta go. These people don't know I looked a whole lot worse, less than 2 months ago. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing good. To them, I'm probably looking like a hot ass mess. But I digress. It was just good to see everybody. And I had my first significant NSV. I was so excited about it that I actually took out my iPhone and started to record it, like using YouTube capture on my phone. But I noticed I was getting all these kind of crazy looks in the airport, and I think it was because people thought that I was probably like saying goodbyes or something. So I'm probably on somebody's like watch list on in the airport now. But I decided not to put the camera away because it just looked a little too like, this is my last will and testament statement or something, and I didn't want, to be apprehended by Homeland Security or anything like that. But then again, they may be furloughed too, so what do I know? But the plane ride, I live in fear. I have always lived in fear of flying for the past couple of years because of my lower body and the fear that I would one day be asked to buy a second seat. Whew. Because I encroach upon the, or for the last couple of years, I've encroached upon the area of my neighbor, like their seat. Either the armrest, like my hips, or my skin makes the armrest pop up. And so I've tried to become like a really pro at like getting the window seat, and then trying to shift over as much as I can over there and do the side lean and all this stuff to prevent, to make sure I'm all in my seat and not in the other person's. My ex-boyfriend, who was really, I don't know, a good boyfriend at times and the worst man ever in others. At least he understood my fear, and he would be my travel companion for years and years. And he'd make sure that the armrest was up and we could cuddle, and it just looked like we were the couple in love, and not like, you know, so I wouldn't be embarrassed or humiliated with my size or the seat. So at least he would always be my buffer, because he was average sized and little, you know, little to me. So I could go over there and it would be no source of embarrassment for me. But he was gone. He's gone out of my life now. So it was, you know, time for me to put on my big girl panties and fly by myself without him. And I had a, I teared up. I actually teared up when I sat in the seat. The armrest didn't move. There was none of me oozing over into the next seat. I promise you, I could not believe that. It has to have been 5, maybe 6, 7 years since that has actually happened. The incident at the airport was irrefutable evidence that this is actually working. Albeit not at the rate that I want it to be, because we all know I wanted to lose 100 pounds by like 2 days post-op. But it is working, and for that I will be forever grateful. Also, that was about it though. Also, that's it. Lucky you. But I did want to say that I have subscribers. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing to my channel. The little channel that could, I guess. But I know that there are some of you that have had surgery, that are having surgery this week. And if I had been thinking, thank God they don't pay me to think, I would have written your names down so I could say, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're in good spirits. I hope your procedures were complication free. You know who you are. Please, you have to know who you are. But I would just like to acknowledge that I am thinking of you. I did pray for you all, because this is not something you go into lightly. But I wanted to welcome you to the Losers Bench all the same. I can't wait to hear, and hopefully you will keep me apprised with your progress. But that is it for me today. I'm sorry, I will try not to let it be so long since the next video. But it looks like I will be going to work soon. The Congress is trying to work it out, talk it out, do whatever they've seemed to be neglecting to do for the other 2 weeks. Now it seems like shit just got real. So hopefully I will be back at work getting a paycheck sooner as opposed to later. And on that note, everybody, I'm just going to say goodbye for now. Goodbye.